get into today's episode of Eggwars, I was just post-editing, and I realized I accidentally screwed up, so I'm slipping this little fix in. I spoke mistakenly. I do not believe the gentleman who is refusing my refund. I don't think he deleted any comments. I thought that he had, but what I found is that I was mistaken. He actually had posted the same comment multiple times, and the one that I had responded to still had the response, but I was just mistaken. I got that mixed up, so I do apologize. I'm not trying to make this any more bullshit, more fuel to the fire, any of that. So with that being said, let's get into today's episode.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Egg Wars. I am sure I probably look totally ridiculous by now because I just put on this coat and I had no undershirt, so I stuffed my shirt with scarves, and I'm wearing my spam hat. I don't know how I look. I have no idea how I look, so I'm just going to assume I probably look crazy. I probably look wild, but I don't even care. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I'm just going to go ahead and crack this sip right first thing off the bat, no doubt. Because I'm going to need the pipes wet today. Because I'm going to be talking about some stuff that's going to be a little bit dramatic to start off here. I'm going to segue into a second topic that's a little more, less dramatic after that, but unfortunately there is just something I have to address. One of these things that's coming up again. So recently, within the last week or so on my videos, there's a gentleman who goes by the name of, I believe it's the number one guy dude. And he mentioned on my videos, he said, you know what, Eggman, he has scammed me for $10. And normally, you know what, hey, you know, people are going to say what they're going to say, you know. In the past, I've generally gone out of my way to just kind of ignore when people are kind of, you know, trying to just talk shit about me. But the first part of the main story I'm going to talk about today is going to discuss what happened the last time I really tried to ignore and why I'm not really going to do it anymore. So let me just give you a little backstory on what this guy's talking about. Because I like to try to be up on the level. I try to, you know, basically be out and out with everything. So a few months ago or so, in the beginning of August or mid-August, I was streaming. I was doing like a week-long stream every single day type of thing. And you've probably seen me wear some of those shirts I've made. You know, that's basically what I was doing, is if people were like the top donator of the day during this time, I was doing like these little shirts. You know, it was like a cool little thing I was doing. I thought it was pretty cool. So basically this guy, he donated $10 one day. He was the top donator, and he wanted me to make a shirt based on this anime he liked, which is really not a problem. And he wanted me to watch this anime and then talk about it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Really, it's, you know, it was nothing that I couldn't do. You know what I mean? Nothing I couldn't do. But, you know, this did fall on me. What happened was, shortly after that, you know, in like mid-August, my live stream channel was targeted by people. You know, I was doing a stream one night, people came in and started posting my docs. I shut the stream down, I opened the stream back up again. They didn't like the fact that I started streaming again, so then they did false flags on my live stream channel, which got me a strike, and it banned me from streaming. So then I made another live stream channel, because you're able to make like 2 live stream channels on YouTube a year, because you have to verify it through your phone, and like it's 2 live stream channels per phone number per year. So I was able to make another live stream channel, and so I went to that channel. And I never was able to confirm if I was being DDoS'd or what the case was, but for some reason, whenever I would try to stream on YouTube, on that channel, my internet would totally go out. Every time I would do it, I would have horrible internet problems, and, you know, it was just nearly impossible to stream, and so I got really frustrated, and, you know, there's still like a few hundred people, I think, are subbed to that channel that I streamed on like a single time and got frustrated, and I feel bad about making people sub to channels like that, but anyway, so then I was like, well, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead then and fuck it, I'll just upload videos and music on my main channel. In the meantime, you know, I want to keep some momentum going. And the people who were false flagging my channels realized that, and they false flagged my main channel and got me banned from uploading for 2 weeks. And so basically at this time, I started kind of going into like a depressive state. You know, sometimes I get into these depressive moods. And so it was like, you know, 3rd week of August, early September, I was really just down. I was really down. I even tried to start streaming on Twitch because I was like, I knew that it was somebody who was doing something with YouTube streaming that was going awry. So I did Twitch streaming, and we only ever had like maybe 10, 15 people, maybe 20 people, very much tops, because I didn't really talk about it. I wasn't advertising it because I figured it was something to do with my YouTube audience. There was somebody in there that was trying to do something, so I only had a few people in there. And it still was, I was just in a really depressive mood. So I was like, I'd only be able to stream for like an hour at a time. I think one day I did stream for like 6 hours. I was like feeling my best, but then I went downhill again. I was feeling like shit. And even when I first started doing when I first started doing Egg Wars, I was still feeling really shitty, you know. I wasn't even doing intros and stuff, like, you know, I didn't do my first intro until the 13th episode. It was very much just something to get me out of bed. That's where the sip came in initially, was I knew that if I had an energy drink when I got up and had caffeine, it would get me out of bed. So that's really where it started at, was just something to get me out of bed, something to do with content. So basically, long story short, you know, I wasn't streaming again. I never fulfilled this guy's donation reward, even though it was a donation. You know, I want to at least say my own that it was a donation. So I wasn't able to, you know, I never did that, and I felt bad about it. So last month, and it has been exactly 30 days, because there was somebody. I also did the video where I gave away copies of Neckbeards on that day, and somebody never accepted their copy, and it only stays for 30 days. So I just got it refunded to my account about an hour ago. So I know it's been exactly 30 days. And the dude, you know, I just told him, I was like, you know what, I want you to contact me. You know what, I'll refund your donation. I'm going to refund you more than your donation, because I feel bad that I didn't, you know, even though I could just be like, hey, you donated, you watched the stream, you know what, sorry. But I felt bad about it, so I'm like, I want to just give you the donation. I want to refund it to you, plus more even, because I want to, you know, basically, I do care and I feel bad about it. But he never contacted me. He commented on the video, basically just with some like thing like, I don't know, something irrelevant, you know, but to the topic. But he never. I have been offering him this refund for 30 days now. He refuses to take it. And now in the last week, I don't know if he's going, I don't know what his mindset is going into this, where he just refuses to take this donate. I mean, I could just be like a fucking asshole and be like, fuck you, you know, whatever, ha ha ha, whatever. I could be like these people. There's people who do streams that they get big donations. They don't even like say the people's names. So, I mean, you know, but I felt bad about it. And so I was like, hey man, I want to give you the donation back. But now tonight, you know, he's doing something else. He's doing something extra, something different. I don't know what his mindset, like I said, recently he's been saying I'm scamming him, which is just totally not true. If it's, you know, I've been trying to give him the money back for 30 days, and now tonight, you know, I've been replying to his comments. He doesn't like that. I don't know why. He wants it to appear that I'm not trying to reply to him. So tonight, I wrote out a reply. I'm like, I've been trying to get a hold, or I've been telling you for 30 days, send me your PayPal. You don't want PayPal? I'll give you an Amazon gift card. You don't want whatever, however you want this. I'll buy you a fucking Steam game. We were on Steam last time I checked. You know, I don't remember what your name was on Steam, but I know at some point we were on Steam together. Whatever, man. I don't care. I'm just trying to make things right. And he deleted his comment so he could repost it without my response. And then he posted another comment saying that I deleted his comment. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of sense does that make, that I'm going to type out this big response to you and then delete your comment? It makes no sense. So I'm not sure if he's just trying to, I don't know what his angle is. If you're watching this, dude, I just want to give you your fucking $20. You know, maybe, I mean, obviously, I don't know what, you don't want the money anymore. I mean, if you would have taken it by now. I don't know what your thing is, but if you're just going to basically try and talk a lot of shit about me, I'm not going to hesitate to block you from my channel. And now you're probably watching this and you're going, Eggman, you know, if you're innocent to this claim of taking his $10, why would you block him from the channel? So now I can finally segue into the story that I was going to get into. There's a gentleman that a lot of you are not aware of, because this is some shit that happened earlier this year, and we've got a lot of more subscribers since then. And I'm not even going to give this guy, I'm not even going to say what his username is, because I don't want to even give him this, and I haven't ever even spoken on this topic up to this point. But I want to give you some backstory as to why, you know, I won't hesitate, you know, if somebody's out there talking a lot of shit about me, and they refuse to, you know, work it with me, you know, I'm not going to hesitate to just tell them to fuck off. And this is why. Let me tell you a little bit what happened. So I came back to YouTube last winter, and there was a guy who, I'm just going to call him the Hapa guy, because he was, that was like basically a big part of his identity. You know, he was white and Japanese. So let's call him the Hapa guy. You know, he came back and he was, you know, as soon as I was coming back, he was really supportive. He was commenting on all my videos, liking all the videos. Everything was pretty cool. And, you know, and he, Some people sent me some money for Christmas as like a Christmas gift, and he was one of them. And so I made a video thanking, my supporters, because I like I said, I don't do Patreon, don't do Hatreon for things that are kind of like this. If something were to screw up, or if something doesn't come together the way I want it to, I don't feel like I should be taking anybody's money for something that gets fucked up. You know what I mean? So anyways, everything's all good, everything's all gravy, and then so earlier this year, one night I decided I'm going to do this 30-day stream marathon, which ended up being like 31 or 32 days all in all, but I was streaming 8 hours a day and everything was good. And, in, about 10 days into streaming, like 9-10 days into streaming, this guy, the Happa Man, all of a sudden out of nowhere, he donates $1,000 on stream, and it's incredible. Holy shit, I'm shitting my pants. I've never seen anything like it. It was crazy. And he's telling me, he's like, man, don't tell anybody, I don't want people to know, just don't tell anybody about it, don't tell them it's me. Okay, I was like, okay, sure, whatever, man. Well, then about 2 days later, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, that was me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, so he basically was telling everybody it was him, so I'm like, okay, yeah, it was him. And, it was probably like maybe the 13th or 14th day of the stream marathon. Somebody came into my chat of my stream, and they were very against me. They were spamming all these horrible things, insulting my family, they're trying to dox me, all this horrible stuff. It was really, really bad. So I thought to myself, well, you know what, I talked to this Happa Man, I was like, well, listen, I'm gonna need a mod, I guess, because people are coming here and they're trying to do all this bad stuff, and you spend a lot of time in this stream with me, so, I don't want it to be like you bought this position, but I feel like you have a lot invested, obviously, if you're doing this, you want to enjoy my content, and you feel very, like, you really enjoy it, so, would you be interested? And he's like, oh yeah, let's do it. So basically give this guy mod position, and it wasn't like a bad thing at first, but there was definitely, it created some conflict. People thought that like he was, considered to be like better, he was like more whatever, but at the time I was like, listen man, it's not that serious to me. And he was talking about he wanted to get into YouTube videos, he wanted to start doing his own streams. So I was happy. I was like, dude, that's great. I'm glad that you want to do that. That's cool. It's super cool, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna support you all the way. I'll direct people to your streams. I'll direct people to your channel. All this different stuff. So it worked out great. I thought everything was all gravy. Time goes on, and and there was definitely some conflict. He was very, 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 I had sort of a right-wing audience, I'm not always super political, but, I had a right-wing audience, and, but he was very, 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 like, super far right-wing, like, he was ready to just, basically go all out and just, he was like he wanted to be the purest, most far-right person possible, so, like, when if I would listen to rap music or something like that, he would get upset, and there was some disagreements, but I tried to I tried to just kind of, keep everything going smoothly. And, basically, time goes to the end of the stream marathon, everything's just fine, he ended up donating like another $200 at the end because he wanted to be like the top donator, and it's okay, it's whatever, you know what? I never like to make anything about money, because money is, money's a very fickle thing, money is the root of all evil, money is all that, I don't like to ever make anything about money, but shortly after the stream marathon ended, he sent me an email and he's like, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I thought that I was gonna die, and so I sent you all the money I had, and I actually need all that money back because I'm living. I feel better now, and I feel like everything's good now, and I just need all my money back. And I did not hesitate to do that. I was like, hey, man, you were in the stream a lot. You gave a lot of your time, and I was very, very generous of you to do what you did, and so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's mine, gimme, I'm like, hey, man, take it back. So I, as soon as I got the email, like within 24 hours, I had sent him all his money back because it was nothing that was that serious to me. Unfortunately, I didn't even tell, this eventually came up because, he brought it up again, or he had brought it up at some point, because, what happened then was, like, he had this audience, he had gotten this attention and this being noted, but he then was like, he didn't like me, okay? He wanted to basically get what he could get from me and kind of leave me off to the side, he wanted to, it was about him, it wasn't about me, he had basically, what it came to be was, he had calculated this all very much to get attention and noticed and all this different stuff, and so that he could try and, get some, stuff from me, basically, like some notoriety and gets like a little bit of his own audience to start himself off, and then basically say, fuck you, Mills, fuck you, Eggman, I'm done with all your bullshit. But it didn't start, wasn't able to do it right away. And this is where I made a big mistake, because as soon as his whole thing was like, he was, it was like, if I ever tried to come out and be like, oh man, like I'm gonna basically disassociate with him, he would have tried to portray me as like this evil, like, oh, I'm the small guy, and he had all these people watching him, and now he's turning his back on me, and all this different stuff. So like I kind of hesitated, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna kind of do my thing. But what he was doing is he was going and messaging a lot of people directly that he spent times in these streams, and he found people that would go to my channel and all this different stuff, and he was kind of trying to like pick them out and be like, oh, you watch that Eggman guy? Oh, he's kind of a piece of shit. He's really a piece of shit. You should really watch my channel instead. And so he had like these people who like I would, were on my videos, and all of a sudden they were like, oh, fuck you, I've been hanging out with Happa Man, and he says you're the horrible person and all this different stuff. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I can't tell you what to watch, But, then he came out and he made these false allegations that certain people who watched my videos were contacting him, begging him for sex, and all this different stuff, these wild, ridiculous allegations. And he even ended up telling me that this was false, but he told me, he was like, yeah, well, I made that up, but it was for the greater good, we need to look at the bigger picture, those people, they can't be in my right-wing utopia, my right-wing utopia could never have those people, so, just this is crazy stuff. And up until, he made this video then eventually where he said I was a horrible person, I was a monster, I was an asshole, I was all these things that he was saying I was. And it was funny because not even 24 hours beforehand, I talked to him and he was like, oh, I'm so happy I'm so happy that I met you, and, you inspired me to do YouTube, and he was making these political videos that were starting to take off and get a bunch of views. He's like, oh man, I couldn't do it without you, man. I'm making money off YouTube. He monetized everything. He continuously would come into my streams, and after he took his money back inside, he started hating me and everything. He would come into my streams and be like, oh, all you care about is money, money, money. But then, of course, once he started doing his videos, everything was full of ads to the maximum. He was taking donations every which way, which I don't even care. Like, that's no problem, Everybody, if you're making videos, hey, man, get your money off it. That's what you're trying to do. But he was just totally hypocritical about it. And so, basically, by my not acting to basically kind of just, like, shoo this guy out of the way by kind of being manipulated in a way to give him attention in the spotlight, and then, eventually I kind of blocked him from everything I could think of and all that. But, at the time it was like, it was my not acting soon enough, people went and were totally with his stuff that I talked to still, that went over there, and then they would get into like a private voice chat with him or whatever, and he would be like, oh man, I can't wait. He was just picking people around him that were trusting him to try and figure out who he was going to manipulate next. And he was telling people about it, that I'm going to find out a way to turn this person against this person. I'm going to do this and that. And they would come to me and be like, holy shit, Eggman, I didn't realize that, now I realize that this is what's going on. And so it was a whole bunch of fuckery. It was a whole bunch of bullshit. So that's why, I just, I don't like to be mean to people. I don't like to be like a dick. I don't like to be petty about things. I don't like to, whatever, but, I guess I've pretty much had my hand forced that if people are gonna be, trying to, whatever, I have to address certain things now. So, Mr. Man, if you want your $20 for the 30th day in a row, please just give me your PayPal, or if you want a gift card or whatever, man. I'm not deleting your comments. I really do not appreciate you trying to portray me in a certain way. I fully own up to the fact that I was going to make you a shirt and it didn't happen, and I'm willing to give you even more money than you donated because I do feel bad about my not following through, and I want to make things right. So fuck it. If you're going to ignore this like you've ignored every single thing I've said for the last 30 days to you, and you want to just continue to lie about me, I will not hesitate to just kick you off my channel because, I don't need more of that bullshit happening to me again where I'm letting it all run wild and people are fostering all kinds of crazy fucking whatever, trying to say I'm deleting comments. when I'm not, then I really will delete you forever from my channel. So, but anyways, enough of that negative stuff. I hate to have to swing a iron hammer and be a big asshole about things, but I have not ever made a video in the Egg Wars sense that I could think of where I talk about really in depth. It's been glazed over a couple times, glossed over as part of other topics a couple times, but I've never talked about my history with nutrition. So I'm just going to give you all the full-on story because that should hopefully be about the rest of my this episode today. So basically, me and nutrition. What's the deal? I think I talked a little bit about it in my college because that's initially what I went to college for, was to be a dietitian. And I think I talked about it in the conspiracy theory Egg Wars because I got into nutrition really through conspiracy theories, interestingly enough. But let's go back. So what happened was, it was in 2011, and I was very, very overweight. Now, I had my first job, since late 2010, but as a result of this, I had a tendency to, where I had not had a lot of money in my life, suddenly I was having a regular paycheck, even though it was not at all very much to start off. I was only working like a day or two a week at the very first, but I was able to buy food. I was able to go to the store and be like, ooh, I want to eat this today, and I could just go and buy like 10 different things of food and sit there and stuff my ass. I would drink just a bunch of soda, I would eat a bunch of garbage, and, it sounds crazy, like, that people would just, you should just know that you shouldn't eat all that crap, but I just, I wasn't really fully mentally processing really all the numbers, all the calories, all the sugar, all that different stuff. I wasn't really taking it into my mental state, really, I wasn't fully comprehending it. But the day that I really started to get worried was, I was going to, buy some burritos, because there was this restaurant that's not even around anymore. It hasn't been around for probably 4 years, but this is in 2011, and they have these, every Monday or something, they have these deals on burritos where you can get these big, like Chipotle type burritos where it's big and stuffed in for a good price. So I was like, oh man, I gotta get a burrito, and I'm gonna get nachos, and so I was going to go load up on crap. And so I got there and I ordered my food and everything. I can't remember I don't know if I'd even started eating yet, but I started to get this chest pain. And it was not like any other chest pain that I had before. It was a chest pain that made me worried. I was like, oh, fuck, I knew I hadn't been eating right, but I was like, oh, I'm like, 19, 20 years old. I'm like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Yeah, I was 19. So I'm like, shit, I'm a young guy. I'm like, hey, you know what? I can, I didn't think it was that serious, I guess, but no, man, I was my most overweight I've ever been. I was, I'm probably still about 200 right now, I'm gonna guess, since I haven't been moving around very much. I was dropping down to 190 again, but I'm gonna guess I'm probably around 200 right now. And I was over 230 pounds at this point. So very, very fat. There's a couple pictures of me at this time that I remember seeing them, around the time they were taken. I don't think I've seen them in a long time since, but I look just horrible. Oh my god, I was really bad. You probably, you can go back and look and see, when I came back to streaming last year, I was 215 or something back then, So and I looked like shit then too, but just people taking pictures of me from the side and my fucking chins are down. And it was horrible. So it was at this time that I was like, fuck, man, you know what? I got a little bit of a shock. I got a little bit of a scared straight. I was like, I'm not going to eat this stuff right now. I'm going to try and dial it back a little bit. And one of the very first things I did, actually, which I don't know if I've ever even commented on this, because this went from about spring 2011 to early 2012. I had no soda for a year. I had no soda at all. I totally cut it out of my diet entirely. I went full water, and I think that's probably one of the best things I could have done. There's things really, when I got into nutrition, that was one big thing that I think had a huge impact. And also, as I think I mentioned in the conspiracy theory video, I started to get very worried about GMOs. So the fact that I didn't make a lot of money, I was eating a small amount of food. I would only eat one meal a day of organic meats and shit, so it was all these combinations of drinking a lot of water, no soda, eating small portions of lean food, it all really helped because I dropped I'm trying to think how many pounds I dropped. It was I think I dropped 40 pounds within a few months or something like that, within by the fall time. It was crazy. It was really, really something, honestly. And I was in the best shape of my life at that point. But, so that was like late 2011, because I started college in the spring semester of 2012, if I recall correctly. And, what I did was, I think I mentioned this before, I went on 4chan actually to start learning, because I was going on all these like raw food sites. I was thinking about becoming like a raw vegan, all that crap. I didn't know any better, I just didn't really know. I was ignorant on nutrition, and all I heard was like, meat's full of cancer, and you need to eat raw from the earth. That's the only way you're gonna get like the pure food that's not contaminated by GMOs and all that shit. So, I was going that way, but I was like, man, I really don't want to do that. So thankfully I found Fit, thankfully I found the Sticky, and I started working, I was like macros, 10 times body weight protein for cutting or whatever, all this different stuff, less than 40 grams of carbs a day, all this different shit I was learning, oatmeal every day, oatmeal, chicken breast, cottage cheese before bed for the slow digesting proteins. I was learning all this stuff, and I was so happy, I was so fascinated by this. I was like, man, I cannot believe that I used to be so fat, and now I'm thin and healthy, and I'm getting lean, and I'm lifting weights and all this stuff. I was just so happy. I was like, oh man, this is great. Can't wait to go to college for this. I had dreams of opening my own dietitian practice. I had all these ideas in my head I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on one of my episodes before, but I haven't like singled this out, I guess. So I'm just talking about it anyway. So, all this was going so great. I was so happy. I was feeling so good. But really, I would say it was early 2012 where things kind of started to take a turn for the worse. Because I posted a picture on Twitter the other day where I was like, this is 5 years ago when I was lifting. When I took that picture, I was going on vacation. And while I was, living with my parents and everything, I was so very, very, like, super autistic about everything I was eating. I was like, oh, no, nothing but water, nothing but reverse osmosis, black light, charcoal filtered water, nothing but chicken breast and broccoli and oatmeal. And, like, I would not go out to eat. I would not do anything. I refused. I was just so stuck in this mindset. But when I went on this vacation in early 2012, first off, I drank quite a bit of Diet Coke, and that was probably not such a good idea, but I felt like, I was like, well, I'm on vacation, I've spent months doing this stuff, I'm on vacation now, so fuck it, I'm just gonna, they had, like, unlimited Diet Coke, could have had, like, unlimited beer, but I wasn't even 21 at this point, I was still 20 in early 2012, so I just, I was drinking a lot of that, and there was a lot of buffets of food, like, it was, like, an all-inclusive kind of thing, so I was eating a lot more than I should have, but it was all just like, oh, it's vacation, it's whatever, it's vacation. But the problem is that it started on vacation, I came back, started getting back into my routine, but then it was also then shortly after this, about like a month or two, that I ended up moving out for the first time to where I didn't have a lot of money, and I was, basically eating rice and beans. I mean, it was still, it was really, I shouldn't have been getting fat at all, but, there's no excuse for that. But it was just, between work and school and not having a lot of money in my budget to buy, like, chicken breast and broccoli every single day like I had been. It was just a lot of bullshit going on in my life that it started to kind of, things weren't, I was kind of trying to hold it together. I was like, well, I'm going to school. I just got to try and hold it together the best I can for, I'm going to do my school for this many years, and then I'm going to go, and I need, like, so much time. I think there was, like, so much time in the hospital working, or, like, it was either you could work, like, in a hospital, or you could work, like, in a school, doing, like, school lunch, something where you needed, like, a certain amount of, there's a word for it I don't want to say internship, but there's some word for it that I'm forgetting, but I had all this in my mindset. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to do that, and, I was maintaining my physique decently, I wasn't perfect, I felt like I wasn't doing as much as I had been, but I felt, I was keeping an eye on everything, but, as time went on, I got to, man, this was a very heavy outfit to wear, I'm sweating. As time went on, I was still browsing Fit. I was still reading a lot of, like, fat people hate threads where there was a lot of, what do you call it? It's my genetics. It's my genetics. I can't lose fat because it's my genetics where I'm eating 4,000 calories a day and all that shit, that would have me in a certain mind frame, maybe where I was getting a little bit jaded to some certain things. I was having like too much intake of memes, because then also I started doing diet plans for people who I knew, because there was people who I knew that were trying to lose weight, and they're like, oh, I heard you're in school for that. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And, so I'd be like, okay, well, what's your height? What's your weight? You need to have this many calories or less each day if you want to lose weight. Here's what your deficit would be. Here's what your macros should be. Here's a meal plan that I would, if you do this meal plan, everything should be good. And, pretty much all of that I was telling people. And the thing is like, I still retain a good amount of this information to this day. It's just that I just, I succumb to what's the word? I succumb to just kind of like not caring, sort of apathy, I suppose. I succumb to apathy about things. Like if I'm not, I'm probably going to need to have another heart murmur one of these days to like scare me straight again, which is unfortunate, but I just, I don't know. But there was a lot of people who I knew when I talked to and I did this for, and they would basically just be like, they'd come back around a week or two later, oh, well, I just, there was some reason why they just couldn't follow it. Or it'd be like, oh, you really only eat this stuff? Where's the cheat meals? And I'm like, well, you can have a cheat meal, but you can't have a cheat meal every single day. You can have a cheat meal, like on Friday. I mean, when I was very first getting into shape, like I would not, I was so focused on it. It was really nice. And I wouldn't even want a cheat meal. Like I would have a cheat meal like once every like 2 or like, months, maybe like once every other month or once a month, whatever. And I would feel bad. I'd be like, oh my God, I just ate this, I ate this pizza or whatever. And, now I gotta, I gotta go work out a little more to try and, I did a cheat meal, but I still want to try and, work out even harder to counteract that, I wish I could be as focused on that shit again too, but that's kind of like also what I said in the lack of a future video, even though I was kind of negative. I was like, God, there's just certain things where it's like, I feel like I need a motivational boost that it's hard for me to come by, but I still do say, I'm going to say this right now though, once my foot is healed, like, I absolutely, even if it's not much, even if I'm only going hard at it for, oh God, I'm already making excuses for my fatness, and look how far I've fallen. Look how far I've fallen from going to college to be a dietitian to where I'm laying here with a fucking broken foot and already making excuses to how I don't want to exercise when my foot's good again. I was totally bad about exercise before that even. Oh man, I'm terrible. Yeah. I gotta smack some sense into myself. Okay, no, but yes, absolutely, when my foot is healed, I need to get back to fitness, and I need to stay doing it because, yeah, I'm terribly out of shape, and that's probably why I was able to break my foot just from dancing, is because I was being such a fatty and trying to do not fatty dance moves. But, yeah, pretty much the way that it went, and I think I've talked about this before, like I said, but the way that it went was pretty much, my college experience was just so shitty. It was just so, like, I flunked, and it was not good, and I just was, the fitness, everything started taking a back seat, It was like, I didn't have very much food budget. It was like whatever I could eat, I was eating out of the garbage. It's like whatever I could eat. It doesn't matter. It's not about macros right now. It's about I need to survive. I need to have food in my body to survive, So unfortunately, it kind of became sort of a secondary thing. And, I think in the last year now, I have probably been my heaviest that I've been in a few years. Because even when I was working nights and stuff, I wasn't very good about my nutrition, but I never got like really fat because I was working extremely hard, and I would be on my feet like 9 hours a day running around and just doing all kinds of, different, it wasn't exactly like a construction labor or anything, but I would keep my calorie tracker on. I'd burn like, I'd be doing over 20,000 steps easy every single day. So I was like doing some exercise that I think now in the last year, I just have had periods of time where I'm not up and moving as much as I should be. And also, when I was doing my streams before, for those who weren't around, even like the ones I was mentioning where I was doing these shirts, I was trying to get up and do like an hour of exercise in each stream because I knew I wasn't, I was sitting there and recording and streaming, I wasn't getting up and moving around, as much as I should have been. I was sitting on my ass for a lot of hours. So there's been times where I've tried to do a little bit better. I've tried to improve, and I do hope. I've been surrounding myself with more fit people lately, people who I meet on Twitter, and I do hope that once I'm up and moving around again, now that I've come to know these people a little bit better, that, they can kind of shame me into, because that's kind of what I need to be shamed a little bit more directly maybe than I have been about my exercise and my weight and my diet and all that. And because I know what to do. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to eat. I know the exercises I need to do. I know the lifts I need to do to regain a decent physique. I've just been a lazy sack of shit and haven't done it. So I will try my best to, once my foot's healing again, to try and get back to being as excited about fitness as I once was. And hopefully we can make it stick this time, because obviously we've been fluctuating pretty noticeably in the last few years. But we're going to try and do our best. And once again, I know today there's probably going to be some people who are mad that I kind of was like being kind of a petty person today, but I just, I don't want to see a situation happen again where like this last situation in this last year where somebody, who initially maybe, I don't know if there was malicious intent from the beginning or not, I don't try and paint people in a certain way. I try and get always give people the benefit of the doubt, but I don't want my name to be dragged through mud. If it's something that if I do something bad, fuck. So I'll be like, sorry guys, I did this bad thing. You might forgive me, you might not. But when I'm trying to make something right and I have somebody who does not want it to be made right, they want to continue, trying to whatever about it. That just is what it is. So, I try to refrain from this shit, but sometimes I just have to say something. So, in any case, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Egg Wars. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, because this is probably going to get uploaded at like 7 in the morning. And otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Sounds from the void.